Now, it's time to meet the players of college sports today, presented by the Allen Law Firm, and get this show started. He's a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, a first-round NFL draft choice, and a member of the College Football Hall of Fame as both a player and coach. He is the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. He's a rare two-time SEC Player of the Year and spent over a decade in the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, Shane Matthews. And presenting the host of the show, with over 25 years of sports broadcasting experience, Terry Norvell. Coming to you from the future Home Loan Studio inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grille, it's time for College Sports Today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell. Presented by the Allen Law Firm.
And we welcome you inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grill for another edition of College Sports Today. We're inside the Future Home Loan Studios. And, of course, our show is sponsored, as always, by our title sponsor, the Allen Law Firm. Terry Norvell here, Coach Steve Spurrier, joining us for a while. Coach, a lot to get to. Coaching moves included. Busy Saturday also. Florida State, a bunch of good games on Saturday. We'll get to Billy Napier getting named the head coach in a moment. Florida State. Wasn't the prettiest football game, but two teams went at it. Big crowd. I was over here. And
I tell you what, Terry, I thought our Gators were ready to play. I really do. I think Greg Knox did a fantastic job as the interim head coach. The guy seemed really prepared, maybe a little looser. He played most of his best players the whole game. We didn't substitute all the time. I read in the paper that it was a little different, that the best players played most of the game. Emory Jones obviously had a few good plays, but 3 straight interceptions, and finally put Anthony in there. So I thought Garrick McGee, our quarterback coach and play caller, called an excellent game. Called an excellent game, I thought. And we had a chance to score more than the 24, but it ended up being enough, thank goodness, as FSU clawed in there and fought back. But it was a heck of a ball game. Both schools should be certainly proud of their teams, and hopefully we'll get ready to go to the bowl game. I hope Greg Knox will be our interim coach for the bowl game. Give him a chance to be 3-0 as a head coach. He might get a head coaching job out of this somewhere. Who knows? Yeah, I like his demeanor. He's got a good smile. I think the players really played hard for him in this game.
I agree with that. I drove over for the game, was driving out, listening to the post game, and he was genuinely excited. He knew that was a nice opportunity for himself, and I got to believe it's an awkward situation. We know it's an awkward situation with an interim situation, but the way Florida played tells you what they thought of Greg Knox. It's easy to tank it. I think it would be easy to tank it, but not the prettiest game. A lot of quarterback issues for both teams. I know at one point, Coach, there in the second quarter, 5 quarterbacks had played in the game. 5. FSU had 3 guys, and Florida had 2 guys.
Going in now. Yeah, Anthony. The play got hurt. I mean, he just ran in there and got tackled. It wasn't anything unusual. And all of a sudden, he came off the field and didn't play again for about another half. But then all of a sudden, he's okay. So hopefully his injury bug, we can find a cure for that. Because if that haunts him the rest of his career here, he's going to have trouble, playing the whole game and being the leader and this, that, and the other. So I don't know what to do about it, but they don't seem real serious. But he comes out of the game all the time.
So. Big kid, 6'5", 240, 250. And he plays a physical style game, though. He's not a slider. He's you may just have to live with it. But like you said, they're nagging injuries. But I know when Emory was struggling there, and I was in the press box, so you got a good view of the Gator sideline, and I was looking at Richardson. He was on the bike. He wasn't being tended to medically. He was on the bike riding a little bit, and I saw him walking. He never had his helmet. I said, man, his helmet was nowhere near, which is not a good sign. But he kind of, I guess they went in the locker room and kind of said, "Can you go, Anthony?" And he went. Played pretty well.
Yeah, he seemed fine. I remember back in our day, especially in high school, our coaches said if you can get off the field on your own, go ahead and do that. But don't let the other team know they hurt you. And I remember Clarkston Hines at Duke. We'd throw that pass over the middle, and the safety would come up and hit him, the linebackers, after he'd catch it, and he'd sort of shake, and he said, "You guys can't hurt me. I ain't coming out of this game." But I guess that was 20, 30 years ago where player said, "You can't hurt me. You can't knock me out of this game." But anyway, it's something I think Anthony needs to address and hopefully get rid of it.
Yeah, some guys just have that knack, though. They get a twist here and a sprain there. From the Gator perspective, I know coming over Saturday morning and went to the game and kind of hung around and getting out of here. The game was a win for Florida. A little bit of feel good. It felt good. It felt good around here to have a win, and then the next day, Billy Napier, Sunday, is named. So Florida hasn't had a feel-good weekend in football in a while. That was good for the Gators.
Yeah, we had a good crowd.
Yeah, real good crowd.
It wasn't completely packed, but
real good
pretty
crowd.
close, and they were yelling and screaming, and the fans' attitude. We were all on board, I guess, with Mullen's dismissal and having an interim coach and then a new coach now, Billy Napier. I don't know him that well. I know his name, know where he's been. He's got an excellent resume there at Louisiana Lafayette. Yeah. So he's going to have an opportunity to be the coach here, hopefully for a long time.
I would imagine a lot of eyeballs will be on that ball game. Louisiana plays their championship game, and what are they in the Sun Belt? They host, the way their conference works, they host Appalachian State. That's a rematch from an earlier game this season. So they're trying to win their conference championship. But I would imagine a lot of Gator Nation is going to watch that game and just kind of see what they look like, what they do. Real quick before we get back to Florida stuff and the program and some Billy Napier stuff. Florida State, I know they lost the game. They fought hard. I'm of the belief, I thought it all in all, game 1 through 12, if you look at the entire year 2 for Mike Norvell, I thought it was a decent rebound. They started 0-4. Coach, they were 0-4, lost to a FCS team at home, and it smelled like a 1 or 2 win season at that point. Coach, they went 5-3 their last 8 games to finish 5-7 off 0-4. I think obviously next year is going to be a real. We need to see a step forward for Mike Norvell, but I thought FSU, where they started versus where they ended, about as good as they could do the second half of the year.
Yeah, they've got a decent team, no question about it. The one they sort of gave away to Jacksonville State, and that's all you can say. They gave that one away. Is end up costing them a 500 season and a bowl trip. But Mike Norvell is a guy everybody seems to really like, a class guy. I talked to him briefly before the game. He was just out on the field looking around a bit, and I came by, and Odell Higgins. Odell said, "Coach, we used to have some real ball games on this field, didn't we?" I said, "Yeah, we were both top 3 or 4 in the country, most of them." And it was life or death almost for both teams when FSU used to come to the Swamp. Yeah.
Really was. I know in the press box we were chatting among the media boys up there, and it was ironic looking at the 2 records. 2 5-win teams, a total of 10 wins started that game. Generally, when those 2 teams play, each team had 10 or more wins on one side. It was interesting. We're going to keep you here for a few more minutes before we take our normal first break. Billy Napier, some stuff that people may not know, may know a little bit. Coach, you may know. From what I understand in the coaching college football industry, the industry seems to have earmarked Billy Napier as a real young, up-and-coming future star at a big program. He was he's been earmarked that way. There's always 3 or 4 guys, they say, man, this guy's probably going to get a job at a big school, and he's kind of that guy. Is that what you know about him? It sounds like people, they love his resume, as you said, and they think he's at that right age where he's ready to get a big job and be successful.
I think that's true. Obviously, Scott Strickland looked at it that way because I believe he said in today's paper he's the only guy he talked to.
Yeah, one guy.
He went after one guy and got him. So he's going to coach the championship game, and I guess come after that. So that's the guy Scott Strickland wanted, and obviously we got him.
I think I saw a release from the university. Yes, Napier will coach Saturday in his championship game with Louisiana, and then he'll be here in Gainesville the next day, December 5th, and have his official introductory press conference. Napier, his stops, he's learned under some big-time programs and coaches. He's spent time at Alabama. He spent time at Clemson. Coach, looking at his staff, I don't know a lot of the names. I recognize Jeff Burris, a DB coach, who I remember him from Notre Dame. He has co-offensive coordinators. That leads me to believe he's not a play caller. Probably he's got 2 guys that are position coaches, and they're also designated co-offense coordinator, and obviously a single defensive coordinator.
I would think I think he is the play caller.
Is he the play caller?
Well, I think he's an offensive guy.
Yeah.
He played quarterback at Furman.
Yeah.
So,
but he lists two guys as I don't know what that does. That just divvy up duties a little different, or?
Well, when I was in South Carolina, the O-line coach was run game coordinator, and Steve Jr. was pass game coordinator with the pass game and so forth. And then you have your overall coordinator.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I think he is the play caller. I may be wrong.
He might be, but I just thought it was unique. He's got co-coordinator on offense, a defensive coordinator. And I heard some talk. I was watching and listening to Shane's show this morning, Shane Matthews, and they got talking about strength, what we do with his strength coach. His strength coach at Louisiana has been there 4 years, it looks like. And he was at Alabama. He was the strength coach at Georgia, I think, in 2015. So he's got a guys. I heard some guys on Shane's show saying, well, I wonder if he's got any contacts from Alabama days. Well, this guy is a guy from Alabama days. I think they co-coached together. So he's got a strength guy that kind of has followed him around a little bit as well. We had a question from Mark. He says, why didn't Florida interview top 10 prospects? I think you hit it a minute ago. I think Scott Strickland. And I want you to get back to it as well, Coach. I think Scott Strickland, in that industry, they talk. They have lists, and they know who's. I think he was identified, he being Napier, in the industry as a really up-and-coming guy. And I think Strickland went for his first guy, got him, and it feels like Florida's ahead of the game now with regard to the LSU's and Oklahoma's jobs open. It feels like Florida's ahead of the game, I think. But I think why they didn't go with anybody else, they're happy with their guy, and they got their guy.
Yeah, and that's the athletic director here makes the call.
Sure.
I want everybody to know that I had nothing to do with the call or nothing.
Yeah, we
to do
cleaned
with
that up
the
last
firing.
week.
Well, I'm called ambassador. I'm not called associate athletic director for football. So Scott Strickland pretty much makes the call on all those, and he hired Dan Mullen. Now he's hired Napier, and that's his call. So. And you know what? People ask me how they're going to do, and I said, well, I can't predict football coaches. When Will Muschamp was hired at South Carolina, I came out and said he's got a chance to be the all-time winningest coach here because all the new facilities were in place then. The brand new building, the indoor, this, that, and the other. I said he's got a chance to be here 15 years because he's in his late 40s, something like that. And I said the same thing about Dan Mullen after the second year.
Yeah.
They had a booster meeting over in Jacksonville where the Apollos, we were staying at the hotel there.
That's right.
On the river. They asked me to say a few words, and I said, I'm going to predict Dan Mullen's going to be the winningest coach in Florida history. All he's got to do is average 10. He was averaging 10 the first 2 years. And you do that 12 years.
45, 46 at the
he'll
time.
be right there. And I said, I plan on being there in 2030 or 31. And all I do is ask him to give me the game ball like I did Coach Graves when I broke his record.
There you go.
So that would have been neat, but that ain't going to happen now. So anyway, let's see if Billy Napier can become the all-time winningest coach.
42 years old, supposedly just a type A, go kind of guy that you think's going to be just high energy and go. So that's kind of a recap of Florida State. We talked to some Billy Napier. Let's take a break, Coach, and then look over college football as a whole. Some other coaching vacancies are very interesting out there, and a busy Saturday, some wonderful finishes to some wonderful rivalry games, and a couple surprising blowouts. We'll look back at Week 13 when we come back. It is College Sports Today.
Lawyers nowadays try to attract new clients by putting big numbers in front of them. I can do that too, but the only number that really matters to me is the one I get for you. I can't guarantee you any particular result because all cases are different. However, I can absolutely guarantee you that if I take your case, I will work personally with you to seek the best possible result because that's what really matters to you. At Allen Law Firm, clients and results are what we're all about. Call me anytime.
The good vibes. What? All the good vibes we had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again.
Taste the islands and every drop of Vida de Luis tequila. 100% blue agave from Tequila, Mexico. Good vibes.
All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again. All the good vibes
It's time to thank the sponsors that make college sports today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell possible. Vida de Luis Tequila, the official tequila of college sports today. Make sure you ask for Vida de Luis Tequila by name in your favorite bars and restaurants throughout the state of Florida. And of course, with your next margarita inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grille. Safe Harbor Seafood Mayport, Safe Harbor Seafood Crescent Beach, and Sliders Oyster Bar Neptune Beach. The official seafood restaurants of college sports today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell can be found up and down the northeast Florida coast. Safe Harbor Seafood Mayport, Safe Harbor Seafood Crescent Beach, and Sliders Oyster Bar Neptune Beach. The proud seafood sponsors of college sports today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell. J.B. Coxwell Contracting, established in 1983 and offering complete site development. Go with the company generally considered the most well-respected heavy civil construction firm in Northeast Florida. Go with J.B. Coxwell Construction. For advertising information to get your business on college sports today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell, simply shoot me an email, tnsportsjacks@yahoo.com. Again, shoot me, Terry Norvell, an email, and I'll get back with you. That email address again, tnsportsjacks@yahoo.com. We are back here inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Remember, open now on the weekend for brunch. Brunch, 11 to 3, Saturdays and Sundays. Not seasonal. It's going to be year-round. It's just part of the menu now, part of the hours. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill open Saturdays and Sundays for brunch. Always love brunch. Get out of the house on a Saturday morning. And
Yeah, be sure to go to spurriers.com to get a reservation.
There you go.
Spurriers.com will get you in. We've been pretty crowded, so call 2 or 3 days ahead.
yeah, it's very easy too. You can go to that website and boom, you can do it. Call, do it online. Very, very easy. We are inside the Future Home Loan Studios. Also want to thank the Allen Law Firm, great law firm. They'll be happy to talk to you about any situation. Maybe it's an accident, hopefully not, but if you've been involved in an accident, somebody you know has been injured, and you want to get some advice, get some legal advice, well, that's what the free consultation is for. Pick up your phone, hit pound YES. Pound yes gets you through to the good folks over at the Allen Law Firm. Coach Spurrier's here for a few more minutes. Coach, we've talked Florida State. Not the prettiest game, but somebody got a win. Florida, a little bit of a feel-good at the end of the year, and with the new coach. Good football really all weekend. Gosh, starting with the Egg Bowl seems like it was 100 years ago. Thanksgiving night, not as many points as we thought, but Ole Miss caps off a really nice regular season. Let's go way back and talk about that real quick.
Yeah, the Egg Bowl, two teams really went at it. Really, the first game all year, Mississippi State dropped some passes.
The running backs dropped off.
They dropped 3 potential touchdowns, and then they got the guy wide open, and Will Rogers overthrew him by about 3 yards.
Yeah.
And that was the difference in the game, 31-21. And you can't win when you go down the field and you drop a touchdown pass, miss a field goal, stuff like that keeps happening. It's just a bad night.
Yeah.
So, it was a good win for Ole Miss. Both teams obviously could have won it. But Ole Miss, I think, is in line maybe to go to the Sugar Bowl.
Bowl's what we're hearing. Yeah. 10 wins. Yeah. 10 wins. Yeah, it was tough. That one sequence, I think it was Marks, the running back, had the 2 big drops almost back to back. It was hard to watch. And then no sooner did I think McElroy was doing the game, he said, yeah, sometimes those drops can be contagious. And damn if another guy, the next play, dropped another one deep in the red zone. Yeah. Deep in the red zone. But Ole Miss did enough.
Yeah, the NFL game yesterday, the Eagles and the Giants, Hurt scrambled around, hit the guy right on the goal line, and went right through his hands.
Yeah.
If he catches it, they win 14-13. If he misses, which he did, it's a loss for the Eagles. Yeah. And one play determines so many of these games now. Teams are so even. Even college football, the Alabama-Auburn game was something to watch.
Oh, my goodness.
One play,
Alabama.
just one play here and there. It's like the kid not going down, he ran out of bounds.
You got to dive down.
You got to dive down and hit that ground. Don't let them carry you out.
Bama would have had to have used their final timeout, and they would have had just seconds.
Yeah, they would have had very little time.
Very little time. Yeah, that was a tough. He just didn't realize the situation, and he could have gone down, definitely. The Egg Bowl was different than what we thought. Ole Miss, nice win. The way North Carolina lost to NC State was just hard to watch. Carolina dominated after the first quarter. They were up 9, 2.5 to go. Coach, you saw it. The poor safety made 2 terrible plays. Same guy Coach ran a little slot guy, ran a dig, I guess, and he jumps the dig with a 9-point lead. The leading receiver runs a straight 9, and the cornerback let him go thinking he had deep help. But the safety jumped the dig, and I guess...
Yeah, it's amazing. What, 26 seconds? I think they scored 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns in
something like
26
that.
seconds,
Yeah,
yes.
it's amazing. That's why it's never over till it's over.
No.
For both teams. So
And-
give State credit for hanging in there.
Kept pitching it. They
And,
kept pitching it around.
They were hoping Wake Forest would lose, and
Yeah.
they had been playing for the championship.
yeah.
But Wake won at Boston College, so Wake's got a chance to win their first
Yeah.
one since, I think, 07 or something. Jim Grove was there.
Remember Jim
back
Grove?
then.
Yeah. Riley Skinner, I think, the quarterback from Bowles, was
Yeah,
there, and he was a
he was
good. He was a good player. But I feel bad that same safety, when he blew the coverage and jumped the dig to give the 9 for the touchdown, that wasn't the winner. They had to score again, so they get the onside kick, and the same safety, number 9 for Carolina, has great position and doesn't make the interception to end the game. That was the game winner. I felt bad for that guy. Big weekend winners were Ohio State. Did anybody see that physical beatdown that they took at the hands of Michigan? Michigan just physically beat them and stopped that streak. Good win for Harbaugh and keeps them in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan looks like they could be the best team in the country.
They look good.
I mean, they're right there with Georgia
Yeah.
physically,
Yeah.
defense, and running the ball and so forth. So, conference championship week is this week,
Yeah.
and then after that, we'll get into the playoffs.
Oklahoma State, Bedlam with Oklahoma was a fun game. Oklahoma State's good. They're good. They play tough defense. Alabama got that win to stay alive. NC State, we talked about tough loss. Notre Dame and Cincinnati hanging around, but they need help. They really need help. You would think, Coach. The way I see it with the college football playoff, there are 3 teams that win and they get in, and of course Georgia. So if these 3 teams win Saturday, the committee doesn't even have to meet. If Michigan wins, they're in. If Oklahoma State wins, they're in. If Alabama could upset Georgia, they're in, plus Georgia. So 3 teams win and they're in. But Alabama, boy, you got to worry about the line of scrimmage. Boy, Alabama's offensive line really got bullied by Auburn, and Georgia's good on that defensive line.
Yeah, well, now you think that's the way it's going to be, but I remember TCU about 5 or 6
that.
years ago
Yeah.
was in the Final Four. They won their last game, but they did not
They got
win
booted out.
impressively enough,
yeah.
And another team replaced them. So who's to say Cincinnati can hang in there if they have sort of an ugly win and somebody else blows out somebody?
Yeah.
You just never know.
Yeah, if Alabama, I'll tell you another thing. The SEC, they can't say this. The SEC office is pulling for Alabama Saturday like you couldn't imagine, because Alabama wins, the SEC gets 2 spots.
Oh, yeah.
And that's big money.
It's about 20, 25 mil probably, I guess. I don't know, for the SEC.
And, a lot of people already say, well, Alabama Alabama gets a lot of calls anyway. But, boy, right?
Yeah, that's the consensus.
Yeah.
They if it's close, they'll probably get it.
Yeah, so the SEC office, they can't say it publicly, but they're sitting there because, I think I'm of the belief, and I think I'm correct, Georgia, to me, could lose Saturday to Alabama by 50. Georgia's still the number 1 seed, if you ask me. I think Georgia's done enough, and they're going to be the
Are
number
they
1
the
seed.
only one Power 5 team in the nation undefeated? Is there one other somewhere? Not Power 5, but I think there's one other
Well,
smaller
Cincinnati's
school.
group of 5.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati's group of 5.
I think they're the only 2.
I think so now.
The, group
yeah,
5
yeah,
Power
because
5. Yes.
Michigan's got a loss, Oklahoma State's got a loss, and on and on.
Only 2.
But do you subscribe to that theory? I think Georgia's the overall 1 seed. And by the way, that'll send them. They'll go to the Orange Bowl. You get to pick if you're the number 1 seed. The playoffs are Orange, Cotton, Championship in Indianapolis. So Georgia would go to.
Orange.
They would pick the Orange. I think obviously those South Georgia fans get down to Miami, and who wouldn't want to go show off their program for a week in a hotbed of recruiting? Not that Dallas isn't, where the Cotton Bowl will be played. So I think 3 teams win and they're in, plus Georgia, but that's asking a lot. Coach, we've talked about the coaching change at Florida. Billy Napier in, Dan Mullen out. There was a lot of smoke last week. Lincoln Riley's name was popping up and around LSU. LSU. That's all you heard was LSU. Well, huge news yesterday. He goes to USC.
Yeah, Thursday or Friday, the USC thing was
Started popping.
looming around.
Started popping.
Yeah, it was rumored around. So obviously that's where he went. I don't know what they paid him. Probably at least 9.5, like Mel Tucker. He set the level now for a guy that's had one big season in his life, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's all it took to be one of the highest paid coaches in the country.
Great talent out there. Great recruiting base on the West Coast. Looks like he'll take his defense coordinator Alex Grinch with him. What does Oklahoma do now? Oklahoma, hopefully they had a little bit of a heads up from Lincoln Riley, maybe. Hey, I mean, signing day is around the corner, and I mean, where does Oklahoma turn for a coach this late?
I don't know where they'll
Tough.
turn.
You know, Bob Stoops, your buddy's going to do the
He's going to do the
one
interim
game.
Yeah. How about Iowa State? Matt Campbell.
Yeah, I know Campbell's
Wonder if he'd
name,
come down there. I
Campbell's
don't
name
know.
popped up a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Luke Fickle, but he's got to finish a season off. You know,
Row the boat, man, at Minnesota.
Yeah.
I wonder if he'd want to go there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of these coaches people don't realize that are pretty loyal to their school. And as the money's close, they want to stay at their school.
Sure.
There's not many like that.
Yeah.
But I think Row the Boat, man, is like that. I think he likes Minnesota. They gave him an
PJ
opportunity.
Fleck,
PJ Fleck.
Yeah.
PJ Fleck played at Northern Illinois, by the way.
Yeah.
We played him in the Swamp back in, I want to say 92 or 3, something like that, maybe 91. But he's a guy that's loyal to his school, and you don't hear his name.
Yeah.
PJ Fleck, excellent coach.
Boy, but Oklahoma now, and you know, LSU is open and just blowing in the wind. They've got an opening. I think that damn NCAA stuff and that Title IX stuff and that Darius Geis and that sexual assault that's being investigated, I think that's really putting a damper on LSU hiring. I don't know if anybody wants to get in the middle of all that mess.
No,
For the right price, though, they'll do it, right?
LSU is one of the best jobs in America. I mean, they can recruit top 5 in the country every year. And, of course, Joe Burrow picked out LSU to go win the Heisman down there and win a national championship. So they've got everything going for them down there. So they'll find somebody really good.
So two jobs, really the two big ones right now, LSU and Oklahoma open. Hypothetical, and it doesn't matter. We'll never know the answer. Lincoln Riley leaves Oklahoma, goes to USC. Had Oklahoma won the other night, they would have rematched with Oklahoma State. Had Oklahoma State won the other night, won this coming Saturday, what does Riley do? He would be in the playoff, but do you announce that you were going to USC? It'd been interesting if would he still have made this move and said, hey, I'm going to USC after the semifinal game, final game. But, of course, they didn't win.
Well, I think he would have held it till the championship game.
I guess,
And now after that, I don't know exactly what he would have done. So I
Awkward.
hate to
Awkward.
guess.
Would have been an
Yeah.
awkward situation. And then
Very awkward.
if he was going to hold until the championship game, if they had gotten in, USC would have had to just kind of be out there going a whole month without a coach. It would have been awkward. It didn't play out that way, but it would have been awkward. Coach, real quick peek ahead, and we'll get you out of here. Alabama, Georgia. Georgia looks so strong. Georgia doesn't necessarily need the game. It is for a championship. But
they do need it.
Yeah.
This is for the SEC
It's
championship.
for a championship. How do
Yeah.
you see this game playing out? Is it just going to be a line of scrimmage game? If Alabama can't hold that offensive line together, is it going to be a blowout? How do you see this game?
Well, I see this game as both coaches and both teams desperately wanting to win the SEC championship. I'm a big believer that the whole country talks too much about the national champ. That's one team out of how many?
130 or whatever, yeah.
Division I, Power 5 teams, 100 or whatever, something. But your conference championship is very important. I mean, that goes in the history book forever. People ask me, how'd you do at Florida? I said, we won 7 SECs. I don't even talk about the national.
Yeah.
Hell, we were lucky to win the national. We had to get 3 teams to lose, and then we got a rematch with FSU and beat them by 32. But if those teams don't lose, we're not the national champ.
Yeah. Sure.
There was no Final Four back then, so we were very fortunate that year, and I know it. But we had really good teams all the time, and we had some really good ones that didn't win the SEC. But anyway, winning SECs is huge. We only got 9 in the history of our school, so I think I'd worry about winning a division and an SEC first.
Georgia, Bama. Quick little overview. How do you see it?
I'm gonna say Alabama may really play well. They didn't play worth a dang the other night against Auburn, especially on offense. and that maybe Georgia has a little off night, and then Alabama has a way of winning, especially these kind of games. So we'll see if it works out or not. Georgia be favored, what, 10-12 maybe?
You would think. You'd think probably
10-12. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Alabama has a knack of losing, so they'll definitely be underdogs, which I don't know the last time they were an underdog.
I tell you, it's hard to remember.
About 10 years ago,
Yeah,
maybe.
hard to remember that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting, though, that Alabama will come in as that underdog.
Yeah, they'll be the underdog.
Yeah.
It's got to be first time in
Long.
maybe 10, 12 years. I'm not sure.
Long time. All right, we've got days to break that down. Looking forward to it, though. Looking forward to championship Saturday. There's 4 or 5. Again, you got to make sure Michigan wins to get in. You got to watch the Oklahoma State. They're trying to win and get in probably. And Cincinnati's got to win. Cincinnati plays a pretty damn good Houston team. Now, that game is at Cincinnati. The way their conference does it, they do it at the highest-ranked teams.
Yeah, deserves it, yeah. Yeah, to me, this is the best weekend of the year.
Yeah.
Whoever wins these conference championships, you'll see those kids celebrating as if they won it all.
Yeah.
You can't celebrate much more than winning a conference championship.
It actually gets started Friday. The Pac-12 is Friday. Obviously, neither one of those teams are in the national run, but Utah, which just routed Oregon 38-7 a couple weeks ago, they play again for the Pac-12 championship. Coach, we'll let you get out of here. Thanks so much for your time, as always. We'll come back, wrap up a Monday edition. Some other things I want to throw out there about the wonderful world of college football that comes up next on College Sports Today.
I'm Bill Allen of Allen Law Firm. My wife Jenny and I love Christmas because it reminds us to think of the important things like faith, family, and friends. We are so blessed and fortunate to be able to work together doing work we love that helps people in need, something we know we couldn't do without your support.
So from our home to yours, we wish you a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a wonderful New Year.
All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again.
Taste the islands and every drop of Vida de Luis tequila. 100% blue agave from Tequila, Mexico. Good
All the
vibes.
good vibes we've had, we'll have again. All the good vibes we've had, we'll have again.
It's time to thank the sponsors that make College Sports Today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell possible. Vida de Luis Tequila, the official tequila of College Sports Today. Make sure you ask for Vida de Luis Tequila by name in your favorite bars and restaurants throughout the state of Florida. And of course, with your next margarita inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grille. Safe Harbor Seafood Mayport, Safe Harbor Seafood Crescent Beach, and Sliders Oyster Bar Neptune Beach. The official seafood restaurants of College Sports Today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell can be found up and down the Northeast Florida coast. Safe Harbor Seafood Mayport, Safe Harbor Seafood Crescent Beach, and Sliders Oyster Bar Neptune Beach. The proud seafood sponsors of College Sports Today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell. J.B. Coxwell Contracting, established in 1983 and offering complete site development. Go with the company generally considered the most well-respected heavy civil construction firm in Northeast Florida. Go with J.B. Coxwell Construction. For advertising information to get your business on College Sports Today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell, simply shoot me an email, tnsportsjacks@yahoo.com. Again, shoot me, Terry Norvell, an email, and I'll get back with you. That email address again, tnsportsjacks@yahoo.com. As always, special thanks to Coach Spurrier for stopping by and giving his input on the weekend of college football. Wrap it up. Got some stuff I want to get out before we call it on Monday. We'll be back, of course, on Friday, 11 a.m. Shane Matthews will join us. We'll get our Safe Harbor Seafood picks in. And speaking of our sponsors, you know by now our title sponsor, the Allen Law Firm. Check out their website as well. Virtual consultations available right there on the website as well. ALLEN, allenlaw.com. Allenlaw.com. Check them out on their website. And also always want to thank Future Home Loans, our studio sponsor inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grille. Future Home Loans, well over 2,000 5-star reviews. They know what they're doing. If you're looking for a mortgage, maybe a refi, very, very important situation in your life. You probably won't do anything financially bigger than that. Go with the pros. Go with the best. Future Home Loans. Want to get a couple things out. Speaking of our sponsors, Mark had a nice thing to say. Mark says, hey, he had a Vita de Louis margarita here at Visors, the upstairs part of Spurrier's, and said it was awesome. Thank you so much for those kind words, and thank you to Vita de Louis, the official tequila of college sports today, and of course served right here in Spurrier's Gridiron Grille. A couple of notes I want to get out here as we are wrapping up a Monday edition. I threw these on Facebook, but I want to get them out to you folks watching and the podcast crew. Number one, my thought, and we talked with Coach Spurrier a moment ago, I think Georgia is clearly, if I was making the call, if I was the head of the College Football Playoff Committee, Georgia, no matter what happens this Saturday against Alabama in the SEC Championship, I think Georgia is the number one overall seed. Georgia could lose 50-0 in my eyes. I think they've done enough. They are the overall, they're in, obviously, the playoff at 12-0. No matter what happens Saturday, but they would still be my number one overall seed no matter what happens, even if Alabama beat them. With that, Georgia will go to the Orange Bowl. They will, if they're the number one seed, you get to pick. The two playoff locations, the two semifinal locations, I should say, this year are the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl. Those are on December 31st, on New Year's Eve. Those two games are played in those two locations. The national championship game is in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Field. I think it's January 10th, I believe it is. So that's thought number one. Number two, do you realize Alabama controls 2 spots? Alabama is in control of 2 spots. If Alabama wins Saturday, if they pull the upset and beat Georgia, Georgia's in and Alabama's in. The SEC wants that, definitely. They can't come out and say that, but the SEC office would love Alabama to beat Georgia. That's 2 SEC teams would get in, and that's a big, big financial boom for the SEC getting 2 teams in. So the office can't say it, but they want Alabama. Just keep that in mind. The cleanest outcome, if you're looking at this from the College Football Playoff Committee's standpoint, the cleanest outcome, and if this happened, what I'm going to say, if this happens, the committee doesn't even need to meet this weekend. If Alabama beat Georgia, if Michigan beats Iowa, and if Oklahoma State beats Baylor, I think all 3 of those, they win and they get in, plus Georgia. The committee would not even have to work. I don't even think they would have to meet this weekend. I think it's cut and dry. Sorry, undefeated Cincinnati, if you beat Houston, and certainly Notre Dame, 1 loss looking in. But I think it's as clean as if those 3 win, they're in, plus Georgia. Alabama, Michigan, Oklahoma State, Georgia. There's your 4. I don't think college football goes that way very often, but if it happened, I think they would be in. Alabama currently right now is, and I've got some notes here I'm glancing at, Alabama is public enemy number 1 for Notre Dame and Cincinnati. Notre Dame and Cincinnati, that was a gut punch watching Alabama come back and beat Auburn. Cincinnati and Notre Dame need Alabama out of there. They don't need Alabama with a chance to win Saturday and get in and eat up one of those 4 spots. So, Notre Dame, and Cincinnati, they want Georgia to win. Georgia's already in. They want Georgia to beat Alabama, and that was a gut punch for Notre Dame and Cincinnati, watching Bama come back and drive 97 yards. Notre Dame also really needs Houston to beat Cincinnati. It could happen, but I just don't see Notre Dame and Cincinnati getting in. It would take monumental upsets. With that said, if that 4th spot comes down to Notre Dame, Cincinnati, they've got to go Cincinnati because the Bearcats beat Notre Dame in South Bend. So Notre Dame, the other thing that hurts Notre Dame, out of sight, out of mind. They don't play in a conference championship game. They're not a conference member, so they are not playing at all. They don't get to put it out there and get talked about that much. It'll be rare if you hear the name Notre Dame all weekend on Saturday. But Notre Dame, they are the biggest Houston Cougar fans in the world. By the way, Houston plays at Cincinnati. In their conference, they play at the highest-ranked team's home field for their championship game. Cincinnati, to be safe, if Cincinnati wins, they definitely need a loss from a Michigan, an Oklahoma State to be safely in. So Cincinnati, they've got to win. Of course, they've got to win their own game. But Cincinnati, I think, to feel safe, they need – I don't think – Cincinnati is not going to jump above a winning Michigan, a winning Oklahoma State, and certainly not a winning Alabama. If they were going to jump, they would have already jumped them. Think about it. Cincinnati can't help themselves anywhere near as much as Michigan beating an Iowa or Oklahoma State beating a Baylor. Houston just got ranked. They haven't been ranked all year, so that's just not enough panache, enough meat on the bone. Cincinnati really still needs to, A, win, and B, hope an upset happens. The 4 teams I think will get in after the games are played this Saturday: Georgia, Michigan, Oklahoma State, and Cincinnati. I think Georgia will win and knock Alabama out, and I think Cincinnati, I don't necessarily agree with the group of 5 getting in. I just don't think they played a daunting enough schedule. But with Alabama knocked out by Georgia, I think Cincinnati will get that 4th seed. With that said, if it is Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Oklahoma State 3, Cincinnati 4, Georgia and Cincinnati would meet 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. So you'd have a back-to-back meeting of Cincinnati and Georgia. I don't necessarily think Cincinnati would beat Alabama head-to-head, but it's just not going to play out that way, particularly if Alabama loses and has 2 losses. Real quick, and we'll talk about this on Friday as well, several of the championship games coming up this Saturday are rematches. Oklahoma State plays Baylor. They already played this year. Oklahoma State at home beat Baylor 24-14. Utah plays Oregon for the Pac-12. No national title implications, but 2 weeks ago, Utah absolutely routed Oregon 38-7. That game was played at Utah. This game will be at a neutral site, but it is a rematch. And Billy Napier, the new Florida coach, will coach his Louisiana program through their championship game this coming Saturday. Louisiana will host Appalachian State. They are another conference that plays their championship game at the highest-ranked field. They don't play at a neutral site. These 2 played earlier this year. Louisiana bombed App State 41-13. That game also was in Lafayette. So a couple rematches coming up this Saturday. We'll pick those and a bunch more on Friday on our next edition of College Sports Today. That'll wrap it up for Evan Miller, of course, producing as always, making the show happen, and Coach Steve Spurrier. I'm Terry Norwell. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Hope you podcasters enjoy it. Make sure you can, at times, jump onto our Facebook page, College Sports Today, and you can watch the show. But any way you consume it, we appreciate it. We will do it again on Friday, 11 a.m. for the next edition of College Sports Today.